Hi guys, welcome back. Okay, so in my last video I asked you if you would like to see the process of making oils, but for this I'm going to show you how I make my lye and the oils. Okay, so what I have here is it's a handy 11.1 litre pail, including lid. So you can get these at Bunnings. I don't know about the United States. I've got another container here, this one. This is the one that I put the water in and then put the lye in. You'll notice at the bottom here it's got a little symbol. You probably can't see it on the camera here, so I'm going to try and take a photo and put it up on the screen. But what it is a little 5 inside like a triangle, and that just means that the plastic is suitable for putting lye in. So make sure that it's PP5 and you should be fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this container, and I've got about 1,100 grams of water, and I'm just going to tip it into this container. And this is just so that if the lye in the other container was to spill out, that this water would be more than what's in that, and therefore it won't affect this bucket. Okay, so we're going to put this aside. So for the recipe that I'm going to be using, I need 275 grams of water. So I've got my water in this container, and this is set back to 0, and I'm just going to pour it into here. So 275 grams. There we go. 276, it's very close. I'm not that picky. Now this is from a lot of people that have told me I didn't have the right chemical to put in this. You can put a chemical in it. I think it's sodium lactate. I'm not sure about that. I've never used it myself, but others have suggested that I do try it. But you know what? I like the sea salts, so that's what I'm using. So this is the sea salt packet that I'm using. This is 400 grams, and it's still very large chunks, as you can see. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 of these, but I'm going to level them off. And they're not huge, they're just that. So they only fill the teaspoon. To the sort of the level, they're not pointed. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, for me, I always use the same spoon over and over, and this is a stainless steel spoon. It's worked perfectly for what I need it to do. Now, at the bottom of this container, there is a whole heap of sea salts. See all the sea salts? Okay, so they haven't dissolved yet. I do all this the night before, so I know that it's ready. So I just stir it around a few times. Don't use your stick blender to try and blend them all in, because I've done that and it doesn't work very well. You got to wait until it's all dissolved by itself. So you can keep stirring it, but just don't try and break it up with your stick blender. I'll come back in a second when this is done. Okay, so now we're completely dissolved. There is nothing left, as you can see. There is no salt left in there at all. It's all water. So this is the moment that we can actually add the lye. Okay, so from this we're going to take the container that's got our water in it, and we're going to put it inside the bucket. So the reason I do that is because, like I said before, if this container was to burst or whatever, then it would go into this water, which would then get diluted. So that's why that's there, and also it stops it from overheating and ruining the table. So the water should cool it down and cover all sides of the container. So this is the next part. This is the lye that I'm using. If you see at the bottom, on most of these labels, it says product use, drain pipes, pathways, driveways, soap making. So it's suitable for soap making, and you've got to make sure that it's 98% sodium hydroxide. If it says 50, don't use it, because it's got metal in it and it's not suitable for using on your skin. So that's the one that I use. If you're in Australia, you can get that from Bunnings. So the next part of this requires glasses, and a mask. This is the mask that I use. It's very good. It's always done a great job. And hopefully you can hear me. I don't like the smell of the chemical, so I do like to wear the mask while I'm doing this. Although I have done it a few times on camera without a mask, which was very silly. So I'm going to set the scale back to 0 and my little container is on top. And for this example, I'm going to be using 150 grams of sodium hydroxide. Make sure at this time when you're doing this that you don't have any kids, any dogs, cats, anything that's going to jump up on the table and either lick this or knock it over. And that includes another human being, like husbands. This is a dangerous chemical and it should be treated as such. So not around pets or kids. I can't stress that enough. So here we go, 150 grams. As soon as you're done, put the lid back on, put back into a safe place before you even continue. The last thing you want to do is forget that you've not put it away and someone grabs it and they've now got lye on their hands. Okay, so we've got our container with water and sea salts and our lye. You always put the lye into the pre-made water, not the other way around. Otherwise, it will volcano and it will go all over you. And while I've never seen that happen, I never want to because it sounds like a horrible experience. So here we go. When you tip this in, tip it in slowly. I just went over to the sink and washed that container out so that it's not going to be affected by anyone. Even though I live by myself, I'm not going to pick it up later on. So now I'm going to take my spoon and I've got my mask and my goggles still on and I'm just going to lightly stir inside the container. Don't splash it. You don't need to use your stick blender or anything like that. In fact, I suggest that you don't. And you'll find initially that it feels like gravel at the bottom, and that's okay because once this starts to heat up, it gets to about 190 to 200 degrees. All that will be dissolved, and it will all turn into liquid. You just got to make sure that you don't breathe it in, because these fumes are, even right now, it's quite overpowering, especially for someone who's got problems with their lungs already. So that's really I'm where I am right now is about an arm length away from the actual bucket, and all that gravel feeling is completely gone. There is no particles that are left that haven't turned to liquid already. I'm just continue stirring it, and I'll give you an idea of the temperature. So that temperature is 180 degrees. So the water in the container is actually doing its job. It's cooling it down, but it will take many, many hours. And usually I leave this overnight so I don't have to deal with the fumes. I can close my door, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and then I'm ready to go. There's no toxic smell. So give that another check. 175. So that's good. And it's all turned to clear. I can't get you in there any further. You're going to have to trust me. It's all clear. And then what I do with the spoon, because it's been in the sodium hydroxide, I dump it in the water. I just leave it in there because I'm going to use it in the morning to give it another stir. So I don't want to take it over to the sink and then have to clean it and everything if I'm going to be putting it back in. And that's it. I just push that over to the edge of the table, and it's ready to wait until tomorrow morning. So I'll see you for the next bit. Okay, so it's the next morning and that lye is completely ready to use. Now I'm going to get my oils together, and I'm going to make this a short video, so I'm going to do just the oils and then I'm going to end it. Alright, so my recipe consists of olive oil, and this is the olive oil that I use. It's not extra virgin, so it's not like a greener color, it's more of the yellow color. The second oil that I use is rice bran oil, which is this one. I get this from Coles, but you can also get this from Aldi if you're in Australia. So this is my castor oil. I got this from Heirloom. It's the 5 litre container. So as you can see, I've used quite a bit of it. There's at least 4 litres that I've used. So organic extra virgin coconut oil, unrefined, and sometimes I use this one. And these are both from Coles, but you can also get them from Aldi, probably a little bit cheaper as well. And the last ingredients is cocoa butter. So basically what I do with this, I put this on a scale and then I chop it up into little bits and then put it in a container like this, put it in the microwave and melt it down. So let's get to pouring some of this oil. The olive oil, I'm going to be adding 385 grams. So the next one is rice bran oil, 275 grams. So what we're going to do is set this back to 0. Okay, and we're going to set this back to 0 again. And then we're going to add the castor oil. Now for the castor oil on this one, it's 55 grams because we're only dealing with such a small loaf. Okay, so I'm going to put this container aside and I'm going to grab another container, and this container is going to deal with the coconut oil and the cocoa butter. And the reason is because I've got to put it in the microwave. So these ones here are all my liquids and these are my solids. So for my cocoa butter, I need 110 grams. So I'm going to set that back to 0. There we go. Okay, so at this stage we've got 110 grams of cocoa butter in here, which it needs melting down. But now I'm going to add my coconut oil to this so it melts at the same time. I found that if I just try and melt cocoa butter by itself, it takes a lot longer than if I mix it with coconut oil, because the coconut oil actually heats up a lot quicker, and then that also heats the cocoa butter and melts it all down. Okay, so I'm going to need 275 grams of this coconut oil. I think there's enough in there, but we'll see. So I'm just going to set that back to 0. All right, so 275 grams. With a little bit left over. Okay, so I'm going to take this coconut oil and cocoa butter, and I'm going to put it in the microwave. Now, I would show you that, but it's pretty much just putting it in the microwave. I'm putting it on 40-second bursts, waiting till 40 seconds is done. If it's still not liquid, then put it on for another 40 seconds. And keep doing that process until it's completely liquid, or until there is like little tiny chunks left where you can just get your spatula and mix it in until it's completely dissolved. I just thought I'd show you. That's 40 seconds. And as you can see, that's actually quite liquid. There's still a lot of cocoa butter that's solid, but the coconut oil is getting to a liquid state, which is great because that is going to heat up and then melt the cocoa butter. But if the cocoa butter was in there by itself, then it would take a lot longer. So I'm just going to put that on for another 40 seconds and then I'll show you the next one. Okay, so now you can see at this stage, all the coconut oil has completely dissolved and it's now all liquid. but what remains is the cocoa butter. And because I didn't break it up, silly me, it's now still in a solid form. And I can't get a knife in there now because I probably cut the container. So I'm just going to keep heating it every 40 seconds until it's gone. Okay, so this is the third. And as you can see, that big piece is now broken up. So it's broken up. And I'm able to just use my spatula and cut it in half because now it's so soft. And if I cut it in half, then it will make it easier for it to melt down. And just moving it around, the heat of the coconut oil is actually melting the cocoa butter as I do this. So it's probably only going to take maybe another 20 or 30 seconds, and then this should be done. All right, so there's a couple of little tiny pieces. You can see this piece right here where my finger is, and this piece over here on the right hand side, but they'll dissolve within a few seconds. I just got to move it around with the spatula, and they're gone completely. So all that is liquid. And to give you an idea of the temperature, it's 173, which is 78. That's just the temperature of that coming out of the microwave. So that's fine because it's such a small portion. It's only like 165 grams out of 1,100 grams. Okay, so just to give you a comparison, these oils are 69, which is 20. So they're really cold. So we're going to take all these and put them into this one. Okay, I'm just going to give that a little bit of a mix around. Stir it in. As it is right now, it's a little bit murky. And what you want to do is you want to just stir it in so that you can see clearly right to the bottom. And that way you'll know that all the oils are completely mixed in. Okay, so I think that's done. Give you an idea. So that's 101 now, which is 38. So from the hot into the cold, it drops 70 degrees. So that's a pretty good temperature to work at. I probably wait a few minutes. It's still a little warm. I like to get it down to about 90, 95, and then I can start working on this. So I hope you like this little short video about how to make the lye and put all the oils. And obviously people have different ways of doing things, but this is my way, and it works, and I've never had any problems. So I hope you like this video and watch out for the next one.